Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking through a couple player props I like on Prizepicks for the Super Bowl on Sunday, Super Bowl 58 between the Chiefs and the 49ers. I'm excited to talk through a couple props, guys, that I do like for the game on Sunday. I know pretty much everyone is going to be watching the Super Bowl. Whether you have player props or action on it, that's a different story. But I know you guys are going to be watching the game, and if you're watching this video, that means you probably play on Prizepicks and you're going to be wanting some props to play. So I wanted to come on, give you guys some props I did like for the Super Bowl on Sunday. I got 3 picks that I'm going to give out in this video, guys. So as always, we're going to talk through each one of these 3 plays and share why I like them. Before we do get started though, guys, make sure you hit that like button down below if you do enjoy these Prizepicks videos. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks and if you don't have an account over on Prizepicks, you can sign up, linked down below in the description, or use that promo code NOAH. When you sign up for Prizepicks, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. And I do want to shout out Prizepicks because right now they do have a free square available, as you can see on the screen. This is available for both new and existing users, so if you already have an account on Prizepicks, this is available for you. If you don't have an account on Prizepicks, well, this is just another incentive to sign up right now because Patrick Mahomes' pass yards prop is discounted down to 0.5. You can take that on Prizepicks. I think it's available. It looks like it's available until 2 hours before kickoff, so until 4:30 Eastern time, that free square is available. You obviously can play it with the NFL board, or you can take a look at like other props. Like you don't have to play it with NFL props, but I'm sure since you guys are watching this video, you're probably going to be taking NFL props, with the free square. You can play up to 5 picks with that free square, make a 6-pick entry, or you can just play like a 2-pick entry. It's totally up to you, but definitely take advantage of that free square while it is still available. I'm pretty sure it's a $25 limit, so you can bet up to $25 on the free square, and you are able to use it multiple times. So you don't have to put all $25 on one entry. You can do a couple $10 entries. You could do $5 entries. It's really up to you how you want to use that. But definitely take advantage of that free square while it is still available on Prizepicks. And again, if you don't have an account on Prizepicks, you can use that promo code NOAH and get your first deposit matched up to $100. And I do want to shout out Sleeper as well because we have a partnership with Sleeper. And if you guys don't have an account over on Sleeper, you can sign up for Sleeper, make a deposit over there, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $500 over on Sleeper. Sleeper is an app similar to Prizepicks. They're a DFS pickup app where you're picking over or under on player projections. Obviously, you're building out like an entry type. You can build up to an 8-pick entry over on Sleeper, win up to 100x your money. And I do want to shout out Sleeper because they have a promo as well right now. Very cool promo. $50 protected play over on Sleeper. This is also available for both new and existing users. So if you already have an account on Sleeper, you can use this $50 risk-free play. If you don't have an account on Sleeper, well, again, this is just another incentive to sign up. I think it's your first bet that you use. You can put $50 on it. It's totally up to you. But whatever you put on your first bet, that will be protected. And you could put $5, $10, $25. It's up to $50. So basically, if you put $50, if you do an entry for the Super Bowl for $50 and it loses, you get that $50 back in promo funds that you can use to play more entries. You won't get that money back in withdrawable credit, but you'll get that money back in promo funds, which you can use again to play more entries. So pretty cool, little promo that Sleeper is running, guys, with a $50 protected play. If you guys don't have an account over on Sleeper, check them out, download their app, sign up, and use that promo code NOAH, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $500 over on Sleeper. But yeah, guys, here we go. Let's talk through some props that I like for the Super Bowl on Sunday. I got 3 picks to talk about. We're going to be looking at 2 fantasy score props that I'm liking, and then we're going to take a look at a targets prop that I'm liking. So first off, the first fantasy score that I want to talk about that I do like for this game, we're going to look at Patrick Mahomes' fantasy score of 19. And I like the over here for Mahomes. And if you look at his recent games lately, it doesn't look great because he's gone under this line now in 5 straight games. I think he's gone under this line in I want to say 7 straight games. It's been a rough stretch for Mahomes lately. He hasn't put up more than 19 fantasy points in 8 straight games. So you're probably wondering why is this line set at 19 if he hasn't hit this in 8 straight games? Well, let's just take a look at what the sports books are projecting for Mahomes this week, how Vegas is kind of projecting him just across the board. Let's take a look at his props individually. So his passing yards prop is set at 264.5. If you are someone that is new to Prizepicks, if you've never taken a fantasy score bet before, you can just click scoring chart right here, and it will actually show you how fantasy score is calculated. If you have ever played fantasy football before, this is exactly, they use the exact same scoring system that you would use in a fantasy football league. 25 passing yards is 1 point, 4 points for every passing touchdown. 10 rushing yards is 1 point, 6 points for every rushing touchdown. And you can see, how fantasy score is calculated. Well, Mahomes is projected for 264 passing yards this week, which would be about, anywhere from like 10 to 11 fantasy points. So he's projected for about 10 to 11 fantasy points from passing yards. He has a rushing yards prop of 26.5, so he's projected for about 2 to 3 points for rushing yards. And then you have to factor in touchdowns. And if you look at DK Sportsbook right now, Patrick Mahomes is heavily favored to throw 2 touchdowns in this game. He's minus 166 on DK Sportsbook to throw 2 touchdowns. If we assume Patrick Mahomes is throwing for about 260 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then he has about, let's say, 20 rushing yards, that's going to put him at around 21 fantasy points if that's what he finishes with. Even if he throws an interception or maybe 2 interceptions, that would still put him over this fantasy score line. So I definitely think this fantasy score line of 19 is low on Prizepicks when you just kind of look at how the market is projecting Mahomes in this game. The 49ers are a good defense. I don't think this is like the best matchup for Mahomes, but we know Mahomes is going to have all the opportunity in the world to put up fantasy points because this Chiefs team is a very pass-heavy offense. They're one of the more pass-heavy offenses in the league. Mahomes, his pass attempts prop for this game is set at like 36.5, so clearly the books are expecting a lot of pass attempts from Mahomes here. And the Chiefs are also a team that throws the ball a ton in the red zone. When they get down in the red zone, like we see so many times, Mahomes gets those passing touchdowns. Even when they get near the goal line, they'll throw the ball as well. I know lately, they've been running it a little bit more near the goal line and in red zone situations, but historically, especially with Andy Reid as their head coach, they've been a very pass-heavy offense, even in the red zone and near the goal line. So I like the over 19 fantasy score here for Mahomes. I think this game could be a shootout. 2 explosive offenses. We'll have to see how the defenses show up in this game. This game does have like a 47.5 total, so it's expected to be kind of a higher scoring game. I like over 19 fantasy score here for Mahomes, just with how the books are projecting him for about 260 passing yards, 20 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. That's going to put him well over 19 fantasy points. And again, he's heavily favored to throw 2 touchdowns in this game. There's a reason on Prizepicks right now. If you look at his 1.5 passing touchdowns, it's a goblin, which means basically if you take this on Prizepicks, you take the over on 1.5 passing touchdowns, you get a lower payout for that because it has such high odds of hitting. So I like taking fantasy score. I think if Mahomes throws for 2 touchdowns in this game, it's pretty likely he's going to have 19 fantasy points. So that's what I'm liking as our first play for the Super Bowl. Next play we're going to be taking, we're going to actually correlate a play here, and we're going to be taking Rashee Rice over 15 fantasy scores. So this kind of correlates with our Mahomes play, taking Mahomes with one of his top pass catchers, correlating those 2 guys together. So Rashee Rice, he has had a huge role in the Chiefs offense, really ever since like the middle part of the season. He has really kind of taken over as their clear wide receiver 1. He's been playing on a large majority of the snaps, 80 to 90% of the snaps most games, and he's getting a ton of volume. Like if you just look at his targets over the last 8 games, 9, 10, 9, 12, 6, 12, 4, and 9 targets. So he has had at least 9 targets in 6 out of their last, 7 out of their last 8, 6 out of their last 8 games. Rashee Rice has had at least 9 targets. So he's getting a ton of volume, a ton of opportunity. He has scored a touchdown in 3 out of their last 8 games. He has gotten a little bit unlucky, last 2 weeks, no touchdowns the last 2 weeks in their 2 playoff games. But he did have a big game against the Dolphins, 8 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown on 12 targets. This week against Cincinnati, he didn't even score a touchdown this game, and he still went over his fantasy score. He had 5 catches for 127 yards. We've seen Rashee Rice be he's kind of been like a volume monster this season, and he's been like a really good PPR receiver. So what that means is, like, if you do fantasy score, a good PPR receiver is a receiver that can get like 7, 8, 9 receptions, which Rashee Rice can do. If you look at his reception prop this week, that line is set at 6.5. So clearly the books are expecting plenty of receptions for Rashee Rice in this game. He has a receiving yard prop of nearly almost 70 yards. I mean, even if we assume Rashee Rice has 7 catches for 70 yards, that puts him at 14 fantasy points, and that's without factoring in potential for a touchdown. I mean, we know he's a guy that can get into the end zone. He's one of Mahomes' top targets. Rashee Rice has scored 7 touchdowns this season. I like correlating him with Mahomes, taking Mahomes over 19 fantasy score and then correlating that with Rashee Rice over 15 fantasy score. Both these fantasy score lines do feel a little bit low on Prizepicks when you kind of compare them to the rest of the industry. We talked about Sleeper at the beginning of the video. Sleeper, they do offer fantasy score projections, and they actually have their line on Mahomes set at 22.1, so 3 points higher than what Prizepicks has. And then their line on Rashee Rice is set at 18.2, so also over 3 points higher than what Prizepicks has. So both Mahomes and Rice are projected, in terms of fantasy score, are projected 3 points higher on Sleeper, given what Sleeper has their line set at for these two guys. On Prizepicks, we're obviously getting them at a lower line. So I definitely like the over on both these guys, correlating them together. Just think with Mahomes, especially if let's say Mahomes does throw for like 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. If one of those touchdowns goes to Rashee Rice, there's going to be a very good possibility that we cash both these 2 plays together. So that's what I like as our first 2 plays for this game. Again, doing like a little correlated stack there. And then the third play that I like from the 49ers side, we're going to take a look at a targets prop, and we're going to look at Deebo Samuel, 6.5 targets. And I like the over here for Deebo, so more than 6.5 targets. Now, if you look at Deebo's recent games lately, he's only gone over this line in 2 out of his last 5 games. But you have to look more into that. So this game against Green Bay, their playoff game, if you remember, if you watched the game, Deebo got injured in that game against Green Bay. He only played 9 snaps before getting injured. And then this game against the Rams, that was the last game of the regular season for the 49ers. They didn't have anything to play for. Deebo still played in that game against the Rams, but he only played 20 snaps, so he really didn't have like a full workload. He did get a full workload against Washington, did have a full workload against Baltimore, but over his last 5 full games that he's played in, either not counting either injury or again the last week of the regular season against the Rams when he didn't play a full workload. Over the last 5 full games that Deebo Samuel has played in, he's had at least 7 targets in 4 out of those 5 games, and the one game he didn't was against Washington when he had 6 targets. So the volume has consistently been there for Deebo Samuel when he's been healthy, when he's played a full game. Obviously, we're assuming he plays a full game here, no injury or anything. And I think this matchup's really good for Deebo compared to Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk's going to probably have to deal with L'Jarius Sneed, who's a really good cornerback. I think Sneed might shadow Ayuk in this matchup, whereas Deebo Samuel is a guy that can kind of move all around the field. I like this matchup a lot for Deebo. I think 6.5 targets looks good here. I did take his over receptions in a slip that I gave out on Patreon that I played last week when Prizepicks ran a promo. They had his receptions prop at 4.5. I still don't mind taking the over on receptions. I would have wanted to get that at 4.5 versus 5. If Deebo Samuel finishes with 5 receptions, I think there's a pretty good chance he finishes with 7 targets as well. If he goes over this receptions prop and has at least 6 receptions, then there's a very good chance he's going to have 7 targets. So I kind of like both the over here on receptions and targets, but I just think with targets, you get probably a higher chance of that hitting versus receptions. Again, if Deebo has 5 or 6 receptions, he's very likely to have 7 targets. I could look through his game log and tell you, so this season, when he's had at least 5 receptions, or when he's gone over 5 receptions, so when he's had 6 receptions or more, he's had 8 targets. He has had, 9 targets, 9 targets, and 12 targets, and 9 targets. So pretty much every game this season where he's gone over 5 receptions, he's also gone over targets. So that's why I like targets a little bit more than receptions, but I like the over on both those props. I don't even mind taking the over on 59.5 receiving yards. That prop is juiced towards the over on DK Sportsbook right now. I think the line on DK is set at 58.5, but it's juiced minus 130 towards the over. I could see this being a big game for Deebo. He's typically had a big role in the playoffs. I know so far this postseason, we've only really seen him play one full game because he got injured in the game against Green Bay. But he was heavily involved last week against the Lions. Had a big game, 89 receiving yards. I think he had 9 targets in that game. He's typically been involved a ton in the postseason, and 6.5 targets. I like the over there for Deebo. The volume should be there. I think this could set up as kind of a pass-heavy game script on both sides. Again, this game does have a higher total, 47.5. So I'm kind of playing for this to be like a more of a pass-heavy game from both teams, taking the over on Mahomes, pairing that with Rashee Rice, and then taking the over on Deebo Samuel, 6.5 targets. I like these 3 plays individually. If you wanted to, you could add 3 more plays and kind of do like a game stack. That's something that a lot of people do on Prizepicks that does pay out well, is like a correlated stack. So that's really up to you, but these are 3 plays that I do like for the Super Bowl that you can play as a 3-pick entry, or add a couple picks you like. It's totally up to you. But again, guys, if you're going to be tailing me on these 3 plays, hopefully we can hit all 3 of these plays and make some money on the Super Bowl. Again, I'm excited to watch the Super Bowl. Let me know down in the comments who you guys think's going to win this game. I think if I had to make a pick, I can't sports bet legally where I live, so I'm not able to actually put money down on who I think's going to win the game. But if I had to pick, I think the Chiefs probably win, but I'm not super confident in that. I think this is a pretty even matchup on both sides, which again makes me think it's going to be a pretty good game. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully all 3 of our props can hit in this game. Again, guys, appreciate you watching the video, though. As always, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you did enjoy, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, go sign up for Prizepicks. If you guys don't have an account over on Prizepicks, sign up, use that promo code NOAH, get your first deposit matched up to $100, and be sure to use that free square on Prizepicks while it is still available. It'll be available until 2 hours before kickoff, 4:30 Eastern Time. You have until then to use that Patrick Mahomes free square. That's available for all new and existing Prizepicks users. Definitely take that, obviously, if you have not yet. But that's all that I got for the Super Bowl, guys, for this week's game. Again, it's kind of sad that this is the last game of the NFL season. It's been a fun NFL season. I hope you guys have enjoyed all the NFL content I've put out throughout the season. But we're not stopping here. We're going to be continuing to upload content to this channel. NBA content, MLB starting up in a few months. We'll have MLB content on the channel as well. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, as always, if you do enjoy these Prizepicks videos. But again, best of luck on this slate, guys. Thanks for watching, as always. We'll see you guys in the next video.